What's going on, you absolute legends? Thank you very much for joining me in this video. My name is Gardiner, and I'm going to cover something that has been absolutely pivotal for me to help me grow as a business owner and as a human. And I guess those two are interconnected in my opinion, because when you do grow your consciousness, you in effect do end up growing your business as well. If you're in the personal brand, online marketing space, at least anyway, that is where my experience lays for the most part. Now, before I get into that, welcome to the channel. If this is the first time here, welcome again. And what I cover here is basically, I'm documenting the last 14-ish years I've been online. I got started in online marketing in 2011, and I really just talk about the fundamentals of this game, what's working in my business, what hasn't worked, really just trying to cut through some of the BS that's out there to help a few of you out in terms of growing a successful business online. So if that's of interest, feel free to do the old subscribe thing, and yeah, let's kick on. So also, my videos are real casual, by the way. Like, I don't believe in crazy editing, although I have gone down that path before. It just felt very incongruent with me. Obviously my sound and lighting's not that great either, but if you can look past that, hopefully you're going to see some value in what I'm going to explain here as well. So if the reason, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking away from my screen, is I'm looking at a photo of myself that I just put up online, and I'm admiring it. No, just kidding. Although actually there's some truth in that. That is a photo of me, but I just posted something on Facebook and I was reflecting on the pathway that has taken me to where I am now, and I thought maybe you guys get a few lessons from it in video form as well as written. So that's the reason for the thing. My wife and I, we run a business together, and we've got a couple of different branches of our business. And over the last kind of like 30-ish days, and I say 30-ish because it's starting to taper off now, towards the end of January, we have accumulated over $110,000 in revenue for our businesses. These are a range of online businesses, including an Etsy store, which is selling digital products. We've got an Amazon store selling physical products on that, so I guess it's still technically online, but physical products, journals and whatnot. I do coaching, although I haven't taken on any clients for quite some time, and don't really intend to just at the moment either. I am an affiliate, although again, that's not something I've been pushing for a very long time, so income has dried up significantly when it comes to that. I also have a newsletter. Now this has nearly 15,000 subscribers on that newsletter. I would love to tell you that that is super profitable at the moment. Unfortunately, we're having a few teething issues with getting it up and running in terms of profitability. So it is creating revenue, just very small revenue at the moment. And unfortunately, that is not outstripping the cost of having the newsletter there, which is a bit of a problem. But this is an entire game, in my opinion, and it's just a matter of figuring out the Rubik's Cube to get it to work. I'm going through some pretty cool mentoring at the moment, which is teaching me a lot about this stuff. And even though I've done email marketing for years, I'm not too bad at copywriting, all that type of stuff. I've sold a bunch of stuff through the written word. For some reason, newsletters are a different kettle of fish altogether, and it's just a matter of getting it assembled to basically be able to get it monetized at the moment, right? So, like I say, 110K, and it is revenue too, by the way, so not cash collected. Cash collected will be just over 65 grand, which is still pretty good. I'm obviously pretty damn happy with that, as you can imagine. It's the biggest month I've ever had online, and yeah, it's a really exciting time. So I don't say any of this out of ego, by the way. I really just wanted to give you guys some value in this and kind of talk through the pathway that we've taken to get there, because the reality is that I understand that it could all go away tomorrow. I understand that February is an entire new month and it might turn to shit next month, right? And so one of the things that you do learn when you're playing this game for long enough is not to count your chickens before they hatch, and not allow your ego to get too far ahead of itself. So I've normalized this level of income, although 100K a month was something I've been aiming at for a very long time. 14 years to be exact. I got started way back in 2011 and had my sights on, $1 million empires, all that type of stuff. But anyway, here we are. It's taken a little while. So yes, this is an outlier month. That is my point. But hopefully it won't be the last one either. And I certainly don't think it will be, the way things are going, plus the different branches of our business and all that type of stuff. So I think that's all the income streams I got. Rough enough. Yeah. Anyways, so why did I put this video together? Because I want to help a few of you out, and there'll be a very, very, very small portion of the audience that are watching this at the moment that are ready to hear what I'm about to tell you. unfortunately, because I think a lot of people will be wanting the tactics and the ninja stuff and like, how do we do the thing, blah, blah, and I think a lot of the time there's a disconnect between people that have done a bunch of stuff and then people that are getting started. And I say this from my own perspective. This was me. My ego got tied up. Now, very first thing that I will say is this entire game, in my opinion, is all mental. It is all mental, right? Skills you can learn, all that type of stuff. But what tends to happen is people are going like, how do I make the money? How do I do the thing that gets money? And what they're not addressing is their relationship with money, their sense of self-worth, the sense of abundance that is all around us at all times. They get bogged down with what's in the media and perhaps their own immediate sort of situation when it comes to financial status and all that type of stuff. And so, because I was that guy, basically, way back in 2011, I was like, just give me the fucking tactics. I don't give a flying fuck about any of that stuff, about any of the mindset stuff, any of the abundance, anything that I just mentioned to you. And what I was effectively doing is, I was coming from this place of desperation because I wanted the end result, but I wasn't really willing to upgrade my own sense of consciousness to get there. And I see that with hundreds of students that I work with as well. And they're like, what's the tactic? Well, like, what's the secret Facebook group that you go into to get secret leads? And like, where do you get all the buyer leads and stuff like that? And they're missing the point. The point is that when you update who you are and your sense of consciousness and your sense of abundance around the world and your own sense of self-responsibility, your locus of control becomes internal, that is when things change, right? Because you're not looking at this thing in a desperate lens going, I need it to fucking work right now. You're just like, cool, I've now grown into this. I now accept there is abundance all around me. I now have let go of my ego enough to go and do the work to get this stuff happening. I'm putting out offers, I'm doing the thing. And that's what most people will avoid. So it's all mental, in my opinion. I think it is an ongoing battle as well. And I say battle, it's not really, it's pretty enjoyable, to be honest. When you start to get to new levels, it is that old thing of new levels, new devils, right? You might have heard that before. And I think with that, you also need to be prepared to play the long game. And I'm going to cover this in a moment as well, because it's an important one. But you also need to play the long game when it comes to your mindset, because it's not just like, all right, I've read the mindset book and now I'm fine. Like it doesn't work like that. You tend to go to a certain level and then you realize how limited your thinking really is. So then you need to expand it again, and then you expand it again and again type stuff. So it is an ongoing thing. So be prepared to play the long game when it does come to your mindset and your attitude towards abundance and life and self-responsibility, things like that as well. And especially your worthiness, whatnot. Like I say, once I did start addressing this stuff, my own trust within myself as well, it was another big one, is like things started changing like that. Like it was almost scary. And I do mean that quite literally. It was really, really quick. Like I'm talking 7 days, way back in 2019, before things weren't working out. Then all of a sudden things started changing, and 7 days later I had my first $1,000 day online. And then I had another one the next day, and then I had my first 10K month, and then I had my first 20K month a few months later, so on and so forth, and millions of dollars worth of rewards and yada yada yada, and it just snowballs. But then every time you get to that level, and it changes you. You need to it's like an elastic band that won't go back to the way it was. You've expanded for the better, and now you've got a new norm, you've got a new platform to base yourself from. So number one, it's all mental. Number two is stay focused. Now, that might seem a little bit hypocritical, because I was just like, oh, we've got all these businesses, and it is to a certain degree, right? And it's something that I tell my clients is that you have no right, unless you're making 10, 20K per month, you have no right going and diversifying over every single platform, social media platform out there, because I think all it does is lead to burnout. And I think the way to get around that is go narrow to start with, right? Go real narrow. Just think of that one client that you can serve, and what do they look like? What's the demographics, psychographics, blah, blah, blah. Typically speaking, it'll be someone who is like 6 months earlier on in their journey than you, or 5 years earlier on in their journey than you. And you're just trying to think, well, what would I love to not have to deal with in order to get to where I am now? So how can you teach those people that moving back, right? But having said that, at some stage you do want to diversify both your presence onto other social media platforms if you're building a personal brand, but also income streams as well. Right now, I did start with affiliate marketing, and then I got into coaching, then I got into product development, and then I got into consulting. And prior to that, I'd had my agency, so I sort of had done a bunch of that stuff before anyway. But when I did get focused, like, oh, okay, I'm an affiliate now, bang, and that's when the results started happening. And then I'm a coach now, and then the results started happening. And then when I decided, like in recent times, I haven't really taken on any coaching clients for quite a while, because I didn't want to do that anymore. It's not something I'm sort of passionate to the same degree anymore. And so once I released that, I started focusing on my other business interests, and bang, here we are. The results have taken off. And so for you, if you're watching this, I would strongly suggest that you stick with one offer, one traffic source, one method of conversion, right? I know it sounds really, really cliche, but if you haven't heard that before, it's probably not cliche yet. And then once you start getting results and confidence, then it's a lot easier to parlay that into the next social media platform, into the next offer, so on and so forth, right? And then you can kind of evolve from there. So stay focused, number two. Number three is success isn't born in a vacuum, right? Success is not born in a vacuum. What I mean by that is you need a team. Now, your team, I'm a solopreneur, by the way. Like, it's just me, my wife, and we've got a virtual assistant, right? So, which I guess is not a solopreneur by technicality, but anyway, missing the point. The point is, for a very long time, I was a solopreneur, but I still had team members around me, right? So number one is my wife. She's my first team member. And way back when, back in 2017, I had, for my agency, this is how kind of silly it was in hindsight, I had one client that's paying me $1,000 a month. So one client going from a 6-figure income in my corporate career, I'm like, babe, listen, I got this idea, I got this thing, I've been building this agency, I think I can get a bunch of clients, and I can scale it to like $1 billion a day or something like that, like, give me a chance. So I quit work, I went all in on it. It was really hard, didn't get much traction to it. 2017, 2018 came, I finally got some traction, found another agency through my network, and things finally started taking off. And then eventually, once I got to late 2019, bang, 10K a month, so on and so forth. By March 2020, we were earning enough for her to leave the workforce, because she had bought into my dream. And I was like trying to explain, like, it's cool being self-employed, you don't answer to a boss, blah, blah, right? And eventually she bought into that, and then now I've helped her with her businesses as well. So it's really cool. But you need a team. And absent of that, if you don't have a partner, or like, your partner's not supportive, well, I would encourage them to be supportive of your dream, because you need that support. Like, you really, really do need it. Having said that, absent of all that, that's why we have online communities with like-minded people. So yeah, you need a support mechanism, because otherwise it's just you're a lone wolf. And even if you are operating a solo business, you still need something around you that is supportive, right? Parents, your partner, a mentor, mentors, plural, etc., whatever it is, right? So that's the main thing. I mentioned this before, but I'm going to echo it again. Just water, by the way. You got to play the long game. You have to be prepared to play the long game. Like I mentioned it when it comes to mindset, but it goes deeper than that. You got to play the long game when it comes to the entire game. And one of the problems is that as a marketer, I understand what makes people tick from a buying perspective. Okay, so I know that people's want of ease is something that is very appealing from a marketing perspective. Okay, so if I know this and I'm not a bad marketer, well, hopefully I'm okay, then you can imagine that some of the really big dogs, like how much they're going to focus on that. And so it's basically appealing to our need or want of instant gratification a lot of the time. That's what a lot of marketing caters to, right? So we have to like steel ourselves in our mind to go, okay, what's this marketing doing to me? Like, is this legit? And make logical based decisions on your purchases and whatnot as well. But having said that, the reason why I bring that up is because sometimes I'll see students and they're like, oh, been trying for weeks now. Nothing's happening. And a lot of the time, they have been sold on this idea that, oh, I've got this student who jumped in and they've got, XYZ result in a very short space of time. And so that's now what they're basing it on. But I'm smart and I'm a hard worker and I can do the thing. And they'll go out, and this used to happen when I worked in the financial markets, helping folks learn how to trade and stuff like that. Same thing would happen, because a lot of the time it's our ego. Yeah, but like, I'm really smart. I'm this, that, and the other thing, and I can solve it, and most people can, right? Like most of the time, there is a pathway that gets involved. But a lot of the time, they've set their sights on like, well, this person, they started making sales after a day and a half, so I should be, even if I'm conservative and go like a week and a half, yeah, that should work. And then when it doesn't happen in that time frame, they're like, oh my God, I suck. So if you move really slow, consistently over a very long timeline, you will go extraordinarily far. And that is the battle that we have to face every day. You have to remain committed to being consistent as much as you can. Now, I don't necessarily mean like I have to post 5 times a day and do the thing, blah, blah. But consistency is just how you're rocking up. It is maybe even posting once a week, but you're putting your all into that, right? If that's as much as you can do at the moment, then that's still consistent. Over a year, that's 52 pieces of content, right? Whether it's YouTube or any of the other mediums for that matter, it's 52 pieces of content that you probably put more energy into because you're only knocking them out once a week. As an example, right? Now, I personally would suggest that you go a little bit more frequently with that when it comes to content, but I'm just giving it an example there. So yeah, have patience, play the long game, do the same stuff, but do it consistently over a long period of time. You'll do pretty damn well. And the last one, and I've kind of already mentioned this as well, but it's really important, is to drop your ego. And it's not easy, right? It's really not easy, because our ego is designed to protect us. And so if we're out there trying to build something, a lot of the time what happens with my coaching and whatnot as well, and I can spot it, I can see it happening in real time, and it's pretty sad, because I will actively combat this as much as I possibly can, but people still will go their own way. And so what I mean is, someone who's done a bit of stuff online and had some results, you would assume that that person kind of knows something, right? They must have some sort of process that must work okay. Like, it must be okay somehow. They must know something. In order to get to that level, then I should probably just follow the steps that person has done, if that's the program that you've jumped into, for example. And a lot of the time, you can't get that. People will, they'll just go, oh no, I'm gonna go and do something else, or like, I see what you're doing there, that's pretty cool, but I'm gonna do it this other way that's, I think, might be cooler. Now, if that is you and you're listening to this at the moment and you're kind of going, yeah, that's me, it's not about bashing yourself, because we've all got an ego, right? And it's designed to emotionally protect us. And part of the ego's job is so that we are right. Because a lot of the time, if we're wrong, that is associated with bad. Wrong, bad, right, good. Wait, that's my left. So hang on a minute. Right, good, wrong, bad. You know what I'm saying? And if you understand that, then you can kind of remove your ego and accept positive criticism, positive feedback, if it's designed to help you and not genuinely criticize you, right? If it's not designed to bring you down. So if you are someone that goes through training and you're like, no, I'm going to do something ever so slightly different, or I'm going to scatter my focus around all these other things that I'm meant to be trying at the same time, I would just stick with the one thing. Remove your ego, accept that you're probably newish to it and you're probably wrong about a bunch of stuff, and that's okay, because we all start off bad at something, right? We have to develop the skills to get better over time. But if you can address your own ego when it comes to stuff, and you can look at the long game, and you can stay focused when it matters, especially in the early stages, and you understand that the game is all mental, then you're going to go pretty far. and you have the patience to play it out, play the long game for a long time, you're going to go pretty far. I think some of the biggest issues I see with people is their ego gets in the way, number one, because they can't accept advice, even if they're paying for it as well. And I've had this with, sadly, a lot of my students as well. And I can see it playing out, like I say, and I will gently nudge them along, and I can see their perfectionism kicking in, which is another sign of their ego kicking into gear. And sometimes it's painful, because I'm like, you don't need that. You don't, like, none of that is important. It's got to go out there and put stuff out there into the ether. See what happens. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to kind of rattle off a few things. Like I say, this is echoing a post that I just put up. But yeah, if you adhere to that stuff, the strategy and tactics become a lot easier. And I'll give you a little example. My wife's a very, very, very good example of this, because when she was employed, she had some pretty big clients, and the clients loved working with her because she didn't have an ego. It was the client's job to dictate what her designs were to be, within the confines of the law and physics and all that type of stuff, right? And design aesthetics, etc. And so because of that, she was easy to work with. When it came to doing the online stuff, the first business I helped her into, which is an Etsy store, she took I think it was a $300 course at the time. And that is creeping up towards $1 million business at this point. Don't know what the exact stats are. I call it 700 and something revenue by now, maybe a little bit more. So, and that's over what, a year and a half, just over a year and a half. So call it in 2 years' time, it'll be, $1 million business. Of $300 investment, probably the only student that's done that. Why is that? Because she literally followed to the T exactly what she was meant to do. She's also part of a mentoring group for Amazon. And out of all of her classmates, which are quite a few, her product is absolutely obliterating it, right? Like I say, we've done nearly 20 grand in revenue with it over the last 30 days or something. Revenue. It's a fickle business model, this physical product stuff, I tell you. Anyways, we're still in the hole by about another 20 grand or something like that at the end of the day. But anyway, the same thing happened. A lot of people were creating products based on what they wanted to create. And the difference is that she said, okay, well, I'm not going to create because of what I want to create. I'm going to create based on what the market research tells me is missing. And that is the difference. There was a product created based on the market research, which suggested that this type of product is going to fill this gap, okay? As opposed to, I want to create this type of thing, and then looking for the data to shape fit your idea, right? And I think that's the main key reason why she's done as well as she has. So yeah, that's my take on it. Some real life examples. I'll probably have a lot to learn from her. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Been rambling long enough. Hit the subscribe button if you got any value out of this whatsoever. I really, really appreciate it. Any subscriber that does subscribe, you guys are amazing. If you're watching at this point, thank you. Drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. Is it resonating? Am I just talking shit? Either way, I don't really mind. Happy to improve and develop better content. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, guys, you have a good one. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.